Shadow Show.
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 Shadow in it.
Mike Ryan is playing hurt today. Something has gone wrong, short-circuiting his voice box. But we are going to carry today, the next 3.5 hours, pressing the gas on maximum morning energy. And the place that we're going to do it, because I don't have a lot of precedent for this. This is such a big game that Roy Bellamy is wearing a Dolphin cap on game day.
You're lucky I'm not wearing my jersey.
I can't believe. Why would I be lucky that you're not wearing your jersey? Do you think
I'll
it's
be
too
ultimate
much?
Dolphin fan.
Think,
the Bellamy jersey.
The idea that Roy thinks that today is such a big game that he decided to go into his closet and grab a Dolphin cap, and that it would symbolize to anyone who walks the streets around him today. Maybe they want to arrest him because he's black. Maybe they think he's extra angry because sometimes he's moody and sullen and didn't like the sandwiches in the morning. But today he's wearing a hat that is orange and black and signifies to me the height of fandom. You are wearing not necessarily your team colors, but you are daring to be a proud Dolphin fan today.
You're goddamn right, Dan.
I can't believe it.
So, Dan, as he went into his closet and grabbed his Dolphins hat, he's also wearing a Heat sweater, getting ready for that, too. We got that going in a couple months.
Well, the Heat sweater's always on because he's proud of being. This is the thing I think people need to understand is Roy wears his allegiances on his clothing. Dolphins don't get worn that much. That hat looks awfully new. That hat looks like it hasn't been worn a lot. I don't know how many beaten Dolphin hats. That Bellamy hockey jersey, sick of it. Been sick of it for 10 years. Smells bad. It smells like 10 years of hockey arenas. This hat, how often do you wear this hat?
Not often. In fact, I believe I have 3 Dolphin caps, and one of them's white, and that's basically black now.
So he went into his closet and grabbed that, and then you went to the Fidel Castro line, all olive, like you're about to take over some sort of war-torn country.
Like Jason Tatum.
What happened today?
Don't like that Castro green.
You don't
off.
like the colors I'm
You
wearing?
can't wear
It's just
Castro
you're not
green.
wearing colors. You're wearing color.
Not in this town.
So you guys think I'm giving off communism right now?
Dan, you said it, not me.
That's what it's called at Home Depot. Communism green.
Okay, so you guys believe that what I am presently wearing not only doesn't give off a Dolphin celebration today, but gives off a lack of freedom. That I went into my closet and what I chose today is basically political imprisonment.
That's what it feels like. That's what you're giving off. The vibe you're giving off is, hey, we've got laws here and you got to follow them.
He's endorsing Kamala.
Yeah.
All right, well, help me fix that, would you? Thank you.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
The time is now.
This is the Fake Pregame Show with Dan Le Batard
Aren't sports supposed to be fun?
and
Not.
Stugotz.
Who? Your call today. Your call.
Fake Pregame Show.
Let me tell you this. Ted Ginn is a
Retired football player.
Fake Pregame Show.
I was jacked up when I saw that.
Hey, we need that thumb to go this direction.
Now everybody,
Fail forward fast.
have you heard?
Fake pregame show.
If you're in the game,
Ted Ginn.
then the strokes the word.
This is the fake pregame show.
We drafted the Ginn family.
Kickoff is
Just over 11 hours.
away, but the fake pregame show begins now.
Ted Ginn and his family will give us everything they have.
Fake pregame show.
Fail forward fast.
Knocking fools out, Stugotz. Knocking fools out.
Hey, we need that thumb to go this direction.
I was jacked up when I saw that.
Thank you very much.
Shannon Sharpe, huh?
Unk.
The controversies got so much better at ESPN after we were gone. I've never done what I'm presently doing before. I don't just mean on air wearing a Dolphin cap. This is the first time in my life I've ever worn a Dolphin cap.
How's it feel?
You look good, dude.
Well, you accused me of looking like communism during the Shadow Show.
I mean, you did. A pocket square would have gone a long way. Whatever you do, don't wear the same color hat. But now that you're wearing a Dolphin hat, you look like an up-and-coming defensive coordinator in Kyle Shanahan's staff. I think just based off of your look right now, you might get a Rooney Rule interview.
Can we figure out a way to have me have a take that gets aggregated today when I, in the future, claim that I'm not a homer or that I'm impartial or that I'm objective, and
With
this
the huge
have
Dolphins.
this be a photo that gets into the internet stream where it's always used of me. I've never done this before. I'm talking about as a child. I didn't have. I had a Yankee hard helmet as a child. All the childhood pictures were not of Dolphin stuff.
Even before you were a journalist, you aspired to objectivity?
Put
No.
ice cream in that helmet?
I was no, that was a different kind of helmet. I did eat ice cream out of those helmets as well.
The full-size one.
Magic shell, yes, of course. I'd go to Fort Lauderdale spring training, and I'd get Oscar Gamble's helmet, not just a normal helmet, but one that had a giant afro in it. That's right, and I would eat ice cream out of it. But today is a certifiable, I can't believe I'm saying this, giant football game, week 2. On a Thursday. All of us, I don't think you guys are ready for this. I don't think you guys are ready to be the only thing talked about on television tomorrow, win or lose. But all the conversation is going to go to where it's been the last 2 years if you lose this game. If the Bills come in here again and do it when they don't actually need it, and the only time you beat them down here was when you put them on the hot sidelines and you fried them all during the game, and then you made Josh Allen throw the ball 700. The whole game plan was make him throw it 700 times until his arm is so tired on 4th down at the end of the game that he has nothing left. Stephon Diggs told us, as tired as he's ever been.
He's never seen a locker room look like that. That's one of the greatest regular season Dolphins games of all time. It's an all-time game.
The Patriots made this division excellent and uninteresting for 20 years. All of the teams used Ryan Fitzpatrick and thought he was the answer to topple Tom Brady. It's just the best quarterback that I would give you of all of those teams that were playing against them are in the game tonight. The best Dolphin quarterback going after Tom Brady, he plays tonight. The best Bills quarterback that there was going after Tom Brady, he will be playing tonight. That division has stunk, and now this is the fight on the top of it. We all know that Patriots thing doesn't mean anything. They beat the Bengals, and they'll try to win all their games that way, and God help Jacoby Brissett when Patriot fans who are spoiled and expect to win start seeing that that's going to be the bottom of the division. The Jets are interesting. I don't know what they're going to get, but I don't think most people think of them, even though I believe that Aaron Rodgers, by simply being a capable quarterback, will make them worthy of competing with the Bills or the Dolphins. Most people think no on the Jets. And most people still think no on the Dolphins. You change it if you do something tonight, though. You change the feeling. Chris Cody's been talking all offseason. Different Tua. Beat Josh Allen. Look, did you guys see the numbers over the last I understand that people think of Tua, that they think of him as just somebody who's a product of the system and he's got a lot of help, and look at Josh Allen and say, no, that's a better quarterback. But last 30 starts, passing yards, Tua's got 700 more yards than Josh Allen. TD to interception, Tua's got 54, Allen's got 56. On touchdowns, Tua's got 22 interceptions, Allen's got 29 interceptions. Completion percentage, Tua's better. Passer rating, Tua's 10 points better. I don't think Tua's the better quarterback. I add to Josh Allen here the ability to run, but Josh Allen also fumbles a ton.
Yeah, so does Tua, though.
Not as much as Josh Allen.
But an abnormal amount. But yeah, Josh Allen running is what he's kind of all about.
The point I'm making is that most people listening to this do not put Tua in Josh Allen's class. That's just Tuanon that does that. But if I just show you the numbers over the last 30 starts, he is in Josh Allen's class. That's not up for dispute. In fact, the numbers are better.
I'm not going to lie. I thought the Tua numbers would have been a little better as far as interceptions. I thought that Josh Allen's been way more reckless, but that makes me, I don't know how I feel about that now.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen over the last few weeks, dating back to last regular season, kind of seems like a different quarterback. And you could certifiably say that the Dolphins have way more talent on the offensive side of the ball than Buffalo has. They just have this quarterback that's super dynamic, that can make things happen. And he won them a game with his legs last week, a game that they would have lost otherwise, a game that, throwing-wise, he wasn't all that impressive yet again.
Josh Allen's 10-2 against the Dolphins, okay? Just understand that the Bills are this division's daddy for the last 5 years, which makes them the Dolphins' daddy for the last 5 years. Josh Allen has no fear coming in here. Last season, the season collapsed on the Dolphins, losing at home against Tennessee. And then the Bills, they allowed the opening. It was all there for the Dolphins to take last year for a number of different reasons. The very top of the division, not having to go to Kansas City in the cold, having a totally different story to the start of this season than the one that they had. It fell apart against Tennessee, and then Josh Allen had the opening he needed to make it 10-2. He had been 9-2 to make it 10-2 on the road against the Dolphins. The Dolphins don't have any real empirical reasons to believe that they are better than this football team. For the last 4 years, they have not been.
Going back to the Cam Newton situation of game manager versus game breaker, Dan, one of the things that you didn't mention, obviously, was the rushing yards and rushing touchdowns that Josh Allen has over Tua. But did you know that Josh Allen has more career rushing yards than Christian McCaffrey? Or, excuse me, more career rushing touchdowns than Christian McCaffrey.
Damn, almost.
Well, I mean, rushing touchdowns, he's got 50. He's got 55 versus McCaffrey's 52.
You've had trouble lately. Just the reading of facts has been a problem for you lately, Tony. If that's the lane you want to choose.
But he corrected himself, though.
Yeah, he did, but we all reacted to, what do you mean he's got more rushing yards than Christian McCaffrey?
Rushing touchdowns.
Yep, but Tony.
That's more impressive.
It's not more impressive, Tony. It's not. I don't believe that the audience would, you don't think it's more impressive to shock the audience than saying that Josh Allen has more rushing touchdowns than Christian McCaffrey is not as impressive as saying, or shocking as saying, he's got more rushing yards. I'm going to go look and see how much it is. Hold on. It's got to be twice or three times as much.
I don't know.
Would you say today is a massive game, a hard-to-find ticket, tough ticket to get, yeah?
Well, not if you have Game Time.
Oh, Dano! Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Dan for $20 off your first purchase. Hey, if you're listening and in town, maybe you're a Bills fan or you're a Dolphin fan and you've never used Game Time before, now is a perfect time. And use promo code Dan for $20 off. You get panoramic seat views, low price guaranteed, unmatched customer service. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Chris Cody?
Game time! Christian McCaffrey, 6,185 career rushing yards. Josh Allen, 3,650 career rushing yards.
In the neighborhood.
Close.
more rushing touchdowns, Dan.
Okay, wait a minute, though. Is that the same neighborhood? Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is 6,000 plus yards and 3,000 plus yards, are those in the neighborhood?
Not even in the county yet.
I'm not sure they're in the same state. It's twice as much. It's not. We're
talking about thousands. Both sides were thousands, right? We're not in the tens of thousands for one, and not in the tens of thousands for the other.
The difference between them is also thousands, though.
This is Tallahassee and Miami. Same state, but barely.
It's a shame because it takes away from what actually was a really good stat. That is very interesting that Josh Allen has more touchdowns than Christian McCaffrey on the ground.
Ruined.
It was one word. My bad. One word.
Tone, what was the one that haunted you for the whole week because you got it wrong last week? What was it? You had
I think it was the Dallas Cowboys, and there was a ton of numbers on the screen, as you were about to mention. There was a spreadsheet of numbers, more numbers than anybody's ever had on a page before in their lives, by the way. And I was trying to read it, but it was
the most numbers.
The Dallas Cowboys had 0 wins since the playoffs of 1995, but they had 5 wins. But
playoff
0
wins.
past the
Yeah, so instead you said 0, it was 5.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Both single digits.
Roy,
Yes.
yeah, same neighborhood. Roy, I want to hear more about this hat that you're wearing. I do look like an offensive coordinator.
Defensive.
Yeah, you're more Patricia.
You're a defensive guy. Girthy.
Well, it's
Offensive line coach.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Are defensive coordinators thicker than offensive coordinators? I don't know what you guys are doing there. You're making all of them physically like Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinators. You're making them slight like Ken Dorsey. You're making them they're made of wire hangers.
Demure.
How did you guys enjoy?
I don't think that's what it means.
Before we get back to the game, I just want to know how much you guys enjoyed after the debate was over, because we've welcomed a whole lot more people into the political tent and the division tent. I could not help but laugh that the result did not go a certain way by blowout and virtually consensus, and the reaction of the losing side was to blame the refs and to call it rigged. Like, I couldn't believe to see it be a sports result where it can't be our candidate didn't perform well or their candidate did perform well. It immediately became about the moderators cheated and everyone cheated. Everyone was cheating. It's fixed. It's rigged. I can't believe it became a sporting event.
Everyone had their theories that we have a Spygate situation in which a pearl earring might have had a speaker, which was my favorite theory of the entire time, because how else would Kamala be able to prepare for questions on abortion and the economy? Who could have seen these questions coming?
How could she have possibly looked and sounded so good and Trump sounded so bad? It must have been the moderators. It must have been rigged. I feel like it's the refs. It's what we do in sports when we just don't like the result, and there has to be a reason other than our team's not good enough.
Zebra's got to stay out of it.
It became about the moderators fact-checking. I honestly, like, the idea, this is a conversation I've had with too many friends over the last couple of years. If I'm holding this up, what the conversation has become around all our divisions, and I've got a pen in my hand, and I'm holding it up, and I'm telling you it's a pen, and on the other side, you're looking at it and telling me, no, that's a fork. And that's where we're going to keep having the conversation on how it is that we see facts. Facts. I'm not talking about opinions. I'm not talking about, it's not like they didn't warn us at the beginning, alternate facts. I'm talking about facts, an agreed upon truth.
This is a weird pregame show.
It's a fake pregame show.
Well, you got a point there.
I'm wearing a dolphin
doing a
cap.
postgame show
I'm
right
wearing
now.
a dolphin cap, and I was legitimately amused by the idea that it was rigged and it was the refs. That it's just the dumb analysis of sports talk radio.
Ron Cherry.
The Dolphins are going into tonight. And you know I don't believe in statement games. I don't believe in must-win, certainly not in week 2. I don't believe that this is going to come down to anything at the end other than how healthy is the healthiest team. And the Dolphins and the Bills, what I will say on behalf of the Dolphins, even though Josh Allen has beaten them, the last couple of years, whatever the gap was, has been closed enough to make Dolphin fans hope that they have a team that can be better than Buffalo. Buffalo is weaker. They've lost pieces on that defense that matter. Their pass rush is still very good. And
Rousseau's been unbelievable.
I am still. This is the greatest respect that I can give going into this football game tonight. Is that I fear that they're not good enough to be as good as Josh Allen because Josh Allen scares me. I fear hoping or believing or expecting something from the Dolphins because it's 3rd and 6 and nobody's open and he's run for 23 yards. And inventing something because Jalen Phillips somehow isn't big and strong enough to actually get him down because you can hit him and not get him down. And if anyone hits Tua tonight, he's going down.
You just said you don't believe in statement games, but then you described everything that it's early in the season. You're scared of Josh Allen. You have all this playoff stuff lingering. You can't beat good teams. The Dolphins come out tonight and look good. That's a statement.
Because nothing that happened in week 2 last year matters and is memorable in a way that echoes into game 17 in the playoffs.
But this team specifically, the Dolphins, the confidence that they can get with, holy shit, we just beat a playoff team. I think that this...
They don't lack confidence. You believe the Dolphins lack confidence against the Bills as close as the games have been the last couple of years?
I just think the Dolphins have to look in the mirror and say, guys, we've been really good against bad teams, and against the good teams, it's not been that good. So, whether they actually... I think that they can beat all these good teams, but they just haven't. So until they do, there has to be pressure building to beat these good teams.
Chris, Tyreek Hill has never had more than 82 yards against the Bills, okay? There hasn't been a great deal of difference between these teams the last 2 years. The difference between them last year was a Tennessee loss by Miami that would have finished the Bills in the division.
That was our fault.
Yeah, that Tyreek Hill set is as a Miami Dolphin.
Yeah, of course. But that's what matters here on Thursday night as these two teams play. It's the fact that Tua has started and finished 6 games against the Dolphins, and he averages around 240 yards in those against the Bills. Yeah. I apologize. And he's thrown 6 touchdowns and 7 picks, where Josh Allen, 10-2 against the Dolphins, he averages over 300 yards per game. He averages 50 yards on the ground. It's unbelievable the fact that he has 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. It's like these two guys are polar opposites against each other.
Why do we all root against each other?
It doesn't even matter what he said after he messed up. I wasn't listening. I didn't care.
I got to be honest here, and I'm delighted that this just happened.
Odd workspace.
And I'll tell you, yes, it is. It is a terribly odd workspace. I will agree with that.
I tried to build you up, man.
It's also super honest. This is what media is across this nation. I guarantee you, if Laura Rutledge stumbles, Greeny fist pumps.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. If Laura Rutledge stumbles, does Greeny fist pump? I don't think that's what it is everywhere in the world. But Jeremy, this is what you just reminded me of, and it just brought me a really wonderful delight.
Chris Whittingham is a fancy lad.
Wow, thank you.
Not since Whittingham have I seen such delight at broadcaster man stumbling around here who prides himself on being polished broadcaster man. Like, people stumble around here and it's enjoyed by others, but you specifically stumbling when you are sideline reporter guy, and Tony wants to be the opposite of that. Tony does not. Look at him. Look how happy Tony is because yes, you placed the expectations for yourself in an impossible spot. Now, when you fail, it means more than when others fail because now we expect you to be perfect, and that puts pressure on you that I don't believe you're as ready for as Whittingham.
I was born and bred for this, Dano.
Okay.
I'm not going to front. I'm rooting for your professional demise.
I know.
Well,
it's already been happening for the last year.
Whittingham had a little more experience coming into the room than you did, and he would choke on the pressure of everyone enjoying. Oh, there's pressure on Whitty here. Whitty's calling Premier League games, and I'm telling you, he's been more scared in this room reading because everybody's looking at him, waiting for him to stumble on a word.
Champions League, fine. And Serie A.
Sorry, he hasn't
and the
done,
championship.
Yeah,
he hasn't. They don't have the rights to the Premier League.
Yeah.
But he's going to be
done
calling a
giant
World Cup.
games.
Yeah, I don't want to call him a kid anymore. That grown ass man is going to be calling World Cup. He better be.
I'm sidelined for
great.
Heat Wizards. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's the same shit.
Then the game's Whittingham's calling?
Yeah.
Champions League semi.
2 finished games against the Dolphins. Idiot.
I miss Whittingham specifically because of moments where he thought he was maximum professional broadcaster and you guys would undercut him, because I've never seen him scared in any other circumstances broadcasting. He's got a preternatural confidence. Like when he was doing University of Miami games as a teenager on college radio, all of us were like, holy shit, that's too good to be a college broadcaster. And I think he may not be scared anymore anywhere than just doing some DraftKings read, because you guys were watching him and he could feel your hot breath on his neck.
Lording over him, rooting for his demise. Yes, that's what it's like here. It's kill or be killed. Yeah.
I used to have confidence too, but that's been crushed.
It is a weird environment. Bill Lawrence was in here the other day, and he was talking. I remember when he had a writer's room type of meeting with Roy, Jess, and some others, and he was just talking about the different kinds of writer's rooms there are. There's Mike Schur's that is very gentle and loving, and then there's the cutthroat one where people are competing with each other all the time. And he's like, the competitive one produces better work, but less happiness. When everyone in the room is rooting for someone else to have a joke that's less good versus everyone in the room celebrating someone else's joke that's better than theirs.
Can you imagine how boring that would be? Oh, good job, Jeremy. You read a stat right.
Our writer's room is, oh, that's a terrible joke. Yeah, say that. Say that. That'll go over terribly, and you'll get sent to the penalty box. This will be awesome.
I'm going to the Reddit right now, controlling F, Jeremy.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
Roy?
Yes?
I need to know publicly and officially, as I'm wearing a Dolphin cap, I don't believe anyone will find internet proof of this photograph existing anywhere in my history or the internet's history, me wearing a Dolphin cap.
Never seen you with one.
And I'm not wearing it. This explanation is going to get lost, but I'm not wearing it because I'm rooting for the Dolphins today or because I'm putting down my alleged objectivity. I'm wearing it because Tony and Mike accused me of being a communist and wearing communist garb and looking like I was wearing camo. And then the video department, I don't know if you guys saw this. This is what I need in my morning. They created an AI communist Dan for everybody's perusal here because now we're just playing with AI.
You see the green that we're talking about there?
A little gray in the beard, though. It's got to darken the
gray
beard.
in the beard.
Yeah, got to darken the beard a little bit.
Roy, I need an official word from you on how excited you are about this game this evening.
I'm enthused.
The CEO of Fubu has a problem with David Samson, and David Samson and he will be on together at 10 o'clock Eastern to see what the issue is. He thinks David Samson has gotten some things wrong, so we will have them talk to each other and figure out who's got what right. We are on in more places that we've ever been, on podcasts at any time you want us, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, also Sirius XM Channel 85. If you want to see all of the places that we are, see it. DraftKingsNetwork.com is where you go. We're on the network from 11 to 2 every day Eastern, and that's on Samsung TV Plus, the Roku channel that I like to make a Korean dish of some sort, Vizio, Watch Free Plus, a whole bunch of others, and now on Peacock, NBC Sports Fast Channel, Monday through Friday, 12 to 3 Eastern. And somebody writes in, it's so interesting having listened to the pod all these years and never actually seeing what they look like. I've listened to the Dan Le Batard Show for years, and I've never actually watched it on YouTube. I knew Dan, but Roy and the rest of the crew, it shocked me when I saw their appearances. I think this happens to Stugotz more than anybody because he's had over the years such a big voice that people think he's big. I don't know when you guys all saw Stugotz for the first time, but when I saw him at a Starbucks after talking to him for the first time on the phone, he was half as big as I thought he was. Like, I thought it was a cube of whatever it is that had been talking to me on the phone that had gotten stuck in a trash compactor on the way over. He sounds like a 300-pound man, does he not? If you're listening to him for years, or he did, first of all, Mike can speak to this because Mike's losing his voice now today. His voice has gone to shit. Like, it's aged in a way that's obvious. Mike, you're doing the oral history on this. That one of the great self-destructions of Stugotz that has been amazing to watch is the big talent that you have is you've got a great radio voice. Like, it's a very strong voice, and you've poisoned it over the years.
No one sounds more different than you. That's a mighty fine glass house.
My voice sounds very young earlier.
Yeah, and going through like all the old clips, you sound younger, fitter, happier.
I was all those things.
Although I think you're fitter now. Or at least as fit. We were looking at old pictures of you looking like a communist, and there was one that...
A lot of them, by the way,
I guess
on
that
the
was
internet.
before the turmeric supplements.
I will tell you that when I look back at photographs of what was happening to me around my brother for a year, like whatever was physically happening to me, even though my diet hadn't changed at all, I am mortified because I had no knowledge of how just physically swollen I had gotten. It wasn't... I mean, I look back at photos and am legitimately disgusted that I couldn't see back then how unhealthy I obviously looked because I had to be pushing 300 pounds.
That's me during the Randy Shannon years. I don't recognize that person.
Al Golden added some weight to you too, didn't he? Didn't Al Golden, was it just Randy Shannon? How about this one? I think it was CBS Sports. Is saying Cam Ward right now would be the second overall pick in the next draft.
This is ridiculous.
First quarterback taken, second overall pick, according to CBS
Behind
Sports.
Hunter? Is it Travis Hunter? I'm assuming.
No. Quarterback Shador probably is the quarterback there. It's a little absurd that he's improved his draft stock all that much. I'm old enough to remember when Brad Kaya was a top 15 pick and Tyler Van Dyke was going in the first round. So let's pump the brakes.
They have him as the first quarterback, number 2 overall to the Carolina Panthers because Bryce Young, we can call it, right?
Yes.
We can call it. I was doing that last year, and you guys told me not to do that last year. Now you can call it?
It's crazy. The dude with average height, average size, average arm is below average in the NFL. I think the shocker is like how stacked that Alabama team was around him that made him look so much better, made him actually look like a pro prospect because I don't given his skill set, I don't understand how that guy goes through the evaluation process and everyone's like, yeah, that's the number 1.
If the Panthers call right now and if you're Las Vegas, I want Minshew. Are you doing that deal? Minshew. Would you rather have Minshew than Bryce Young?
It's a weird way to take this.
Really weird that you would decide that you now want to give Minshew yet another team.
I'm trying to prove a point on like the level of quarterback that we would.
That
like,
he's better than Bryce?
I'm just saying,
he's
like
clearly better.
I think I'd rather have Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, clearly.
And that's That's crazy that we're saying that about a first overall pick.
Look, Bryce Young, this is what happened there, and I don't know how this is something that I can say quiet as it's kept, given the analysis that sports gets and the analysis that the position gets. But the evaluation of quarterbacks stinks, and Bryce Young ends up being what Ken Dorsey was when he was surrounded by 50 first-rounders, but Ken Dorsey went in the late rounds because he was not good enough. Bryce Young, with whatever it is that Nick Saban was doing to help what was happening around Bryce Young, I have seen very few quarterbacks who aren't Doug Flutie, where I'm watching, I'm like, that dude's not big enough. Like, he's just, one of the things that people are always shocked by is standing next to Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. On the field, they're surrounded by other giants, so they don't look as big as they are. They're big people. They're bigger than I am. I'm the physically biggest person we've got here, and they're both, like, when I stand, it's not like standing next to John Runyon where I end up feeling like I'm a toddler, but Brady and Manning are big people. I'm watching Bryce Young, and I'm like, is that person Tyreek Hill's size, but not as physically strong as Tyreek Hill?
I think the era of the little quarterback is over. I'm here to officially call that. With the passing of the Bryce Young situation and saying he's not it, I think the little quarterback era is over. We look across the field, and Kyler Murray, even though dynamic, missing wide open guys, streaking down the field, and then doubling down, saying it's not my job to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball. Like, it's a lot of weird stuff with that.
Did you see the stat, though, that Marvin Harrison's, like, super slow? And that's
I did.
Shocking.
He looks really slow on.
He was, like, 16 miles per hour clocked in, which is really slow for a wide receiver.
Bo Nix was 20 miles an hour.
That's crazy, considering, like, the book on him, given his nickname in college. Like, he never really looked slow. That was crazy.
I think big quarterbacks are back, Dano.
I think big quarterbacks are always going to be there, and small quarterbacks too. But you got to have something special to make up for those deficiencies. And he doesn't have a big arm. No. He's not super strong. Yeah, you can be small, but he's not fast. He's not an athletic quarterback. There's just nothing that you would chart with his physical gifts that you would say this is an above average physical gift. To play that position, you can't be doing that undersized.
He does have the quarterback whisperer in his side, though, that would help. Obviously, Baker, better arm, I think better overall talent than Bryce Young. But Dave Canales has the wherewithal to maybe fix a smaller quarterback and put him in a different situation.
Does he have the wherewithal? Is that what he has? I don't think he has the wherewithal. Is the wherewithal what he has?
I think he has the wherewithal. He did a good job with Baker, but Baker seems to be doing fine right now. It's just Carolina's at a point where I think we can all agree nothing's going to ever work out for them at this point in time.
Circling back on that mock draft we were talking about, Dan, that had Cam Ward number 2 overall, it was from one of the analysts on CBS Sports. He had 5 quarterbacks going in the first round, none of which were named Shadur Sanders. So we might want to take that specific mock with a grain of salt.
I don't want to take it with a grain of salt.
Sugar?
I'd like it saltless. Thank you.
Fair enough.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Can we all agree that the Carolina Panthers are never going to get anything right?
Maybe not wherewithal, by the way.
On the Cam Ward
does Canales have the wherewithal?
He doesn't have the wherewithal.
He does. He does now.
Look, this is what happened to Tone. It's okay that it happened, but he was looking for a word, and that wasn't the one. Like, it's fine. We could have ignored it.
Amen, brother. It happens.
I know it does happen. It happens to all of us. But I don't know why it is. You know, Dave Canales is getting up in the morning. Okay, let's just make this ostensibly. Tony, you need to do some learning about something around here, which is that your words matter and they might be heard by people. So let's just say Dave Canales is leaving the house and he's feeling bad about an argument he's had with his wife, and he's getting in his car and he loves our podcast, and now he's saying, "Why is this person wondering whether I have the wherewithal to do my job?" And why is he questioning? Why is he doubting whether I have?
He was supporting. You were doubting.
I was supporting Dave.
You were saying you think he has the wherewithal, but before that, he was never questioning whether the wherewithal was something that he did not have.
I think you said, quote, "I don't think he has the wherewithal."
Wow.
Well, because I don't think wherewithal was the word that he was looking for, and then I'm not gonna take any accountability on this. I seized on that, and now I've said something I didn't mean to hurt Dave Canales because one of my producers here hasn't supported me the way that I needed to be supported there. Yeah. It sounded to me like he was questioning whether Dave Canales had the wherewithal, and I just didn't think that's what we should be doing with our pregame show.
You think Shanon Sharpe did that on purpose?
It's so good.
I think he did it on purpose.
No, well, the hack thing. No, this is how I think it happened. and you tell me if I have this wrong. And I should say on the front end, somebody should check in with Michelle to make sure she's good with everything that happened here, because Shanon and Ocho got to the jokes last night, but not after initially Shanon was scared that he had done something that might have gotten him in trouble with Disney. Paul Pierce was gone on something. Disney's image matters, and I saw fear in immediately claiming I was hacked. And then what I saw afterward is like, oh, he talked to people and they were okay with it. And what I wanted to know is, God, I just wanted to know what those conversations were, right? Like, first of all, the volume. That's where he works. Colin Cowherd picking up the phone and having to have a conversation about, like, yeah, hey, Shanon, is he telling them that it's hacked? Is the initial move hacked when you're scared when you're going immediately to hacked? Are you not? You're not being playful with that immediately.
No, but then hacked invites all sorts of questions. All right, so it was hacked, but who was that? Are you denying that was you on your account? So everyone goes to it, and it's almost like socially accepted to say, like, okay, maybe you weren't. That's the go-to there. Initially, I thought the pivot after that was going to be, oh, this was an ad, because when he started teasing, Club Shay Shay, there was an advertiser, or appeared to be an advertiser on the screen. I'm like, you got me. This is genius.
I wish it. First of all, it's good for business. It's good for everybody's business. If you can get past the fear, which is what ESPN is trying to do by welcoming into the tent all of the personalities who now change the rules on what controversies look like, because the athletes have kicked in the door. And McAfee is drinking in Ireland, and Shanon just improved his brand yet more in every way. And I wish the initial response had been to have fun with it, or to advertise with it, or to do creative with it. But I understand why someone who has worked that hard to get where he's gotten, why the initial reaction would be fear, because you do not want to embarrass your corporate partners in ways that threaten a value he's created that wasn't there a few years ago for him. So I understand wanting to protect that, and I understand more than most what it feels like to fear jeopardizing an economy that you've created around you. The other parts of the controversy, I have no understanding of.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever made anyone that happy.
Not even close.
Like, genuinely that happy, because there was a real sincerity that came across those speakers.
Yeah. And so one of the reasons that I feel daily around here, Mike just said, you sounded so much happier when we were going through our oral history stuff. When's that coming out, by the way?
The first episode will drop next Friday.
All right. So, and that'll be fun for
a couple of surprises in there too that I think I'm purposefully not letting you and Stugotz listen to the first edit. I want you to be surprised with some of the voices that you'll hear on this.
I'm looking forward to all of that. But when we started what was a venture that a lot of people question, that is now arriving at success and was scary for a really long time, we had the opportunity to have the vision at ESPN when Kelsey was sidling up to Stugotz and asking him, how do I do a podcast? And when Shanon Sharpe was asking for us for a few dollars, and we're like, why would we pay you? We had the chance to have Shanon Sharpe and Travis Kelce. Instead, we've poured our money into Pablo and David Samson. That was a conscious choice made by me. And David Samson joins us now because I bet big on David Samson. Nothing personal is exceptional. I urge you to listen to it daily, every day, 8 a.m. live. He does a solo show on YouTube. And also, the sporting class is coming out tomorrow. And I say this every time, and I know it to be so. No one will dispute it. There is no way to dispute it. John Skipper, Pablo, and David Samson talking about sports business is unlike anything and better than anything being done in this medium on sports business. It comes out tomorrow. So David joins us now, and your take, David, on all things Shanon Sharpe here, as yesterday was a good day for business, for all kinds of business for Shanon Sharpe.
My day started yesterday at 6:17 a.m. That's not when I woke up. That's when my day started. and I had an email that I checked, and inside the email was a letter addressed to me that said that I have gotten into your phone and you've been a naughty boy recently, and I'm going to send a video of you on a porn website to all of your friends, family, and contacts, and it will be public if you do not give me money immediately, if not sooner. That's before I heard about the Shanon Sharpe situation.
Wait a minute.
What? This happened to me yesterday.
Wait.
It is a phishing scam that I've since come to learn that they take a picture of your house. They tell you that they've gotten into your phone, and then they say, send me Bitcoin, or we're going to give video of you pleasuring yourself or someone else in a way that will ruin your life and the life of the people you work with. So give me money. What do you think my first reaction was to that letter?
It's a good question. I imagine that the first thing would be to sort of go through your head on where and when could I have been caught in any sort of visual shame that somebody might have. But the reason that I think you might be more poised than that is I've seen you go through a couple of things that would have been really scary to me, and you just sort of put your head down and go through them in a way that is super poised about how you solve the problem. I'm going to tell one of the stories in a second, because the Miami New Times was claiming that at one point that they had you on tape, or someone with the Marlins on tape, saying something racist. And the way that you handled that, seeing you inside of it, I would have been a lot more afraid than you were in that situation.
So that is a story. That's a blast from the past. And that was, thank you for being there for that. And of course, it was not me. It was completely fabricated and made up as a way to bring me down. So my first thought was, because I'm with Metalark and with you and with Pablo and all the great people at Metalark, I said, all right, I think this can be great content. Let me see if I can find a way to get this person on the show. Let me try to get inside exactly what they're trying to do and what they think that they can do to me, because I'll admit everything that I've done from yesterday all on back, because it's not a Jeffrey Toobin situation. It's not a Shanon Sharpe situation. Oh, my God, I'm Instagram Live by accident. I dropped my phone. If this is what I'm doing in the privacy of my own home and you've hacked into me, I am not going to run from it. I'm going to embrace it, and I'm not going to pay you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get paid. I'm going to start an OnlyFans site. I can't
believe this. I can't believe that what your initial reaction was, how do I book my extorter?
Absolutely. That is the first thing that actually occurred to me, is what would be the best way for me to make money.
How do I profit off of an extortion is where it is that you started. Not anything in the way of fear. Is it because you're fundamentally shameless? Because it's impossible to cause you shame in public.
I don't do anything that you don't do. I do everything the same that everyone does. I'm just happier to talk about it. And I'm not ashamed of it. And I know very well that I'm very careful in terms of what I do. I'm not on Zooms doing stuff. I'm very clear about private browsing and when windows are closed or opened or where cameras are. I just pay attention to detail is all.
I mean, this happened to Yarmir Yager. Somebody took a picture of him sleeping next to an 18-year-old. The 18-year-old wanted to extort him, and he said, quote unquote, "I don't care."
I mean, if Shanon Sharpe's, if the woman that he was with doesn't care, that ain't bad for business in any way. But I do understand anyone being, it's such an invasion of privacy, David. Like it's not something that I would want out there in any form.
No, here's the thing with Shanon Sharpe. I wasn't happy with the initial crisis management of going with the hack story. And then he went right to I'm embracing this, and I'm going to go on shows. I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to talk about it, that I'm a male, and this is what males do. And my cardio may not be good enough, but I'm working on it. All those things. You could have done that first. The first call you've got to make when you're part of an organization and this thing happens, you do have to call the PR people for your organization to make them aware. So one of my first thoughts was to call the PR people at Metalark, and I didn't know who to call.
I want to hear more about this extortion attempt. There was nothing in the way of fear there at any point.
It's Taylor.
That's what you should have called.
Next
okay.
time you're getting extorted.
Extorted?
For your sexual escapades, please just text Taylor.
I will do that. I hope that he is on his phone from time to time. So the answer is no. I was not aware it was a well-known scam. But of course, I'm up to date on many of the scams that go on, and I'm very suspect of just about everybody, including those I know. So my first reaction is not to go to the store and send this person Bitcoin. My first reaction was to say, if you really did what you said you have done, you're gonna have to prove it to me. Now, the downside of being the way I am is that I was clicking refresh during Nothing Personal Live yesterday and throughout the day yesterday, seeing whether or not any videos or any sort of audio or any sort of anything had come out, and I stopped hitting refresh. So it was about 18 hours of refreshing is about as much as I was willing to give it.
You said you suspect even those close to you. Give me a number to this. How many people do you trust in the world?
Unequivocally?
Yes.
0.
How many do you trust in just trust that you would say not unequivocally, but you trust?
Not many. Trust is that's a loaded word, and we can talk about trust.
Well, you just said I'm suspect of even people I love. So how many of those people are you not suspect of?
One of the things is, I think it's important in business and in your personal life. I think you've got to be, if you're in the public eye, or even if you have a mouth like I had all through elementary school and high school and law school, part of having that mouth is that it comes with not being able to trust, because you don't exactly know how people are going to react to the path that you're on or the things that you're saying. And so that's why the criticisms when I was running the Marlins never impacted me, because I never believed the people who lauded what I was doing. So I didn't have to pay attention to the criticisms. And in terms of trust, if you don't trust anybody, you never get disappointed. So it actually puts me in a better position.
Juju, put it on the poll, please. Is the only trust David Samson has in life a trust fund at Le Batard Show? Can you tell?
That's ridiculous.
Can you tell the people? Can you tell the people the controversy with the Miami New Times? Because we blew through it there, but I want you guys to imagine the Marlins get a call. The reason that I found this so interesting is because I couldn't believe how calm Samson was throughout at a time that was publicly perilous for this kind of accusation to make an appearance. The Marlins are getting a call that one of their top executives, and I think you guys narrowed it down, the accusation was either you or the owner of the team, is on tape, on audio, saying racist things. That's all you're getting in terms of what the call is, right?
Yeah, we were asked to comment. We were called by the Miami New Times saying they're releasing a story that they've got someone on tape and they're going to play the tape. And we called in our PR people. I happened to, if you remember, you were my first call, interestingly enough, when this happened. And I knew very well that the way I talk to players, the way I talk to people, whether I'm an Ambien or not, I don't say things that are racist because I'm not racist. So I never actually thought that it could be me. On the other hand, there were certain things that go on inside a clubhouse, certain things that go on in a conversation where there could be me around bad things that are said. Because I wasn't the best when I was the president of the team of quashing things that were misogynistic or homophobic and things that I wish I had done better, sort of the locker room situation, that today I would be different. But I was resolute and said to them, you're going to play me that tape, because if you don't, you are going to lose the lawsuit. And I had the lawyer ready, and they would have lost. So they played the tape, and I understood it was someone imitating me, and I knew it immediately, but I knew why they thought it was me. And the agreement we came up with was play the tape, be my guest, because I will make sure that people know that was not me, and you're going to look like an idiot. And they played the tape. And what really was telling about that is, you talk about who do I trust around the Marlins front office in the meetings we had. Everyone was rooting that if anyone said something, that it was me and not the owner. And that was a troubling moment for me in my career. I'll tell you that.
Well, can you tell us what the initial reaction where it is? The part of this story that's the best part of the story to me, I don't know whether you're comfortable making public or not.
You say that in a way that gives you no choice. The owner was hoping that it was me and not him.
But in a way that you saw on his face as it's revealed.
When it was revealed at the point we were together in a room and we were listening to the tape together, and the relief that he had when it was my voice and not his was palpable in a way that made me realize that I was alone on an island.
It's so horrible. That's your boss. It's a comedy skit. It's your boss, but it's also family. And he's just like, yes, woo, woo.
Thank God no one was recording that moment.
All right, we're going to come back with Samson in a second. we don't get a lot of sex tape scandals in sports, and we certainly don't get a lot of sex tape broadcaster scandals in sports. But I got to think that I'm rare among the people listening to this, that if I say to you, you have the Shannon Sharpe video and audio, do you want to see that and hear that? Or would you prefer, like me, to hear the audio of Shannon Sharpe then discussing that with executives at ESPN? I'd prefer the second audio to the first, to just hear the general reaction of everything there when it's fear instead of funny. Where it's not, yes, the internet's laughing about this, but is it okay for us to laugh at as a company, especially again, and I will say this, Shannon went on the air before we heard or saw from the executives in any way. I would care about how it is the woman involved in this feels before I went to making fun of this.
The modern day post-sex cigarette is just a scroll through social media, so I'm just imagining him like getting done, laying out, like rolling over and just, all right, let me check, see what's going on here in social media. What'd I miss? Oh, shit.
Are you like me, Samson, that you would like to just hear what the conversations were as people became very afraid of this?
I've had conversations like that with people. So, of course, that it always is what interests me. You can get a sex tape anywhere you want these days. You can get just audio, video, whatever you want. That what goes on in the room where things happen is obviously going to be more interesting. And putting the funny instead of the fear, I think that's where we live here on this show. And that is a very, very small piece of real estate in today's sports media.
I wanted to ask the group here. I learned this on the way out of the home this morning. Do you guys know the phrase misophonia? Does anyone here know what misophonia is? I did not know before leaving the house today, and my wife informed me. This is something I'm learning 5 years into marriage, and I'm learning it this morning, that the sound of people eating is something that really bothers her, triggers her. Now, it is the formal definition of this is that misophonia may cause a reaction to sounds such as dripping water, chewing, snapping gum, repetitive noises such as pencil tapping. That's the formal definition. But my wife, and it wasn't while I was eating, but I did ask her because I was curious, if this is something I'm learning about you right now, does it mean that you've been annoyed every time we're eating because you're perpetually perturbed by the sound of people eating? Samson, you have some funny things that irritate you. Anything in this realm?
I don't get irritated by noise, actually. I get irritated by two things that I try to fix and that people get upset when I mention, and that is the saliva that comes in the corner of the mouth and the streak.
Hold on a second. We're onboarding somebody here, and so we lost the sound on David Samson and the last of what it is that he was saying here because we're onboarding David Gandler, the co-founder and CEO of Fubu, who apparently has some objections to something that David Samson said. But finish the last. It only clipped the last part of your sentence, David. What were you saying?
I was saying what bothers me is the line of spit from the top to the bottom of the mouth and in the corners, and I'm very conscious of that, and I point it out when it's happening, and also things in people's teeth, my teeth and others. Those are things that I feel like you should have some awareness of. In terms of the sound, I would only say that no, I am not misophoniac.
We're going to bring on David Gandler. What are your thoughts on spittle in the side of the mouth and things in people's teeth and the sound of people chewing, David?
Well, can you take a look at my teeth?
I can't. I can see your teeth from here.
Okay.
Yes. You don't seem to have anything in your mouth. You don't seem to have any spittle. David, you're always using a kerchief or something or a towel. Like, why does spittle get caused? Are you drinking enough water? Like, I don't think a lot of people have spittle in the corner of their mouth.
I do not. I use the handkerchief that you see every time I do a show. I actually use it for schwitz. I use it more to make sure that I'm not glowing like this. What I do for the spittle, which I don't have, is I do this. I do the quick corner down with my thumb and my pointer.
All right, let me explain to the audience why David Gandler is on with us. He is leading a fight against Venue Sports to protect consumers from a sports streaming monopoly. I've told you I'm sort of fascinated by everything that's happening in streaming and how sports fans are already being priced out in a way that seems unreasonable and unfair. He saw a video recently of Samson and Skipper and Pablo talking on the Sporting Class, which I will say again is the best sports business podcast, most expertise I've seen anywhere in the market. And David was listening to it, and a lot of people in business are listening to this podcast because the information that David and Skipper have is so far inside of sports that they're learning things from this podcast. But David, your objection was what? And thank you for joining us. I'm going to just refer to you as Gandler from now on, since we have two Davids and you're both on remote. Thank you for joining us. And what is your objection to what Samson said?
It's not really an objection. It's just I wanted to make sure you guys understood exactly what the situation is about, and I wanted to make sure that we, explain to your audience exactly what we're fighting for. And we're actually fighting for your audience. We're fighting for consumers, and just like you guys, we're also sports fans, and we want consumers to pay the lowest price for the most sports that they can get access to.
What is Fubu fighting Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers on? What is this fight about?
Yeah, so very simply. You have three very large companies, Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers, and collectively they control over 60% of primetime sports. And what they wanted to do was create their own service that they would have exclusively for themselves, with no competition, effectively creating a monopoly in the sports space. And they attempted to also keep it exclusive to themselves for some period of time until they eliminate competition. And that would allow them to manipulate pricing. And as you said, correctly so, is that the price of these services has increased. I think someone on your show actually said that cable might even be cheaper, given the number of services that you need to subscribe to.
But I think, David, that what happened with the injunction and what you're trying to do, to me, you still have the ability to get those channels at the same terms as all the other providers. So they're not going to you specifically and saying, because of Venue, we're no longer offering the individual channels in the package to other streamers. And so when you're alleging that it is an antitrust violation, what has to be proven, and you've started that process, is that they have engaged in something that's anti-competitive and to the detriment, not just of you, but of all of the people in that space. That's going to be a tougher one to win, even though you did get the injunction. I assume, David, you're going to keep going now.
Yes, absolutely. I think if you read, the judge's ruling, I think she put out a 70-page document. She basically said the only reason we got the preliminary injunction is because she believes that, our claims are very valid. And she believes that there's a high likelihood we will win on the merits of this case. And therefore, she ruled in favor of this preliminary injunction, which, as you know, the bar is extremely high, particularly from an antitrust perspective. And I would say there's probably about three buckets that are very important here. One is, you certainly want to prevent the abuse of market power. This is a situation where, as I said, three major players with 60% of the rights give themselves the type of flexibility that they won't give anybody else. So that's one. The second is you want to make sure that consumers benefit from lower prices. And as you know, historically, the more competition, you look at mobile, you look at other services, prices tend to go down. If you look at Disney Plus over the last 4 years, the price has doubled. So we should expect that if there are fewer services, or in this case, one sole provider, the price will go up, and relatively quickly, as the judge saw from some of the documentation as part of the discovery process.
But David, what exactly is winning to you? You've gotten the injunction. If there is a finding that there is antitrust, tell me how you would say to your cap table and to your customers and investors, what is winning?
Well, we've always said this. We've never said we wanted to be the only ones to do this. We've tried to do this for 10 years, to provide a service that was sports-centric, that was priced efficiently for people who really just want sports and want to get their entertainment somewhere else. What we want to see is a level playing field. There is no reason why we have to pay more than anybody else in the market. There's no reason why we have less flexibility than anyone else. We have a growing customer base that's very happy with our service, and we just want to see a level playing field. I don't know why that's such a hard thing to want in America. We're all capitalists, we're all Americans, and we're fighting for equality.
But are you saying that the terms that are being offered to you by ESPN, as an example, are different than the terms offered to the other streamers?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'll give you a few examples. So I think yesterday you guys, or the other day, you talked about penetration rates, right? How many customers get a specific channel? The channels that we get from these providers are all 100% penetration. That means that every person who signs up would effectively sign up to get CNN, would effectively sign up to get Discovery, even though they don't want those channels, right? We've been forced to take unwanted channels to access must-have programming. And so we're probably the only service that has to take all the channels and also have 100% penetration rates, meaning that every customer gets that. That's besides the
you can't keep saying penetration rates when we've been talking about Shanon Sharpe. I've got a bunch of toddlers working for me. You just can't choose another phrase, please. I see it on their faces. They're just children. They're children.
Well, are your investors ready for the long term here, David? Because this is going to be costly. And I'm not calling you a corner bookstore going against Amazon, but on the other hand, in the fight that you're now fighting, it's going to cost money and time. Are you dug in?
I am dug in. This is a Cinderella story. We've for 10 years defied gravity, continue to deliver results for our consumers, for our shareholders, for our employees. We've won this preliminary injunction, which, as I said, the bar is extremely high. I think everybody was surprised, except for me personally. I walked out that first day, and hopefully, your peanut gallery knows what this is, right? I came out that first day after opening arguments, and I knew, we were in the right. And so we will fight for consumers. And I think something has really changed over the last 35 years. If you guys remember, the distributor was always the bad guy, right? Hurting the networks, hurting the programmers. I think what we've done is we've effectively flipped that on its head. And today it's become clear that it's the programmers that have been misbehaving this whole time. And we just want to set the record straight.
David, thank you for being on with us again, co-founder and CEO of Fubu. And I will tell you that, again, and I will keep telling you that what Pablo Torre and David Samson and John Skipper are doing on Fridays, if you want condensed versions of just getting super informed on the craziness that's happening in sports business, your life as a fan is already changing in ways that are wildly uncomfortable, and it's going to keep happening because the greed on this stuff isn't going to stop. And everything is being changed as we are watching our games and needing our games, and there are going to be fights all over the place. Pablo Torre Finds Out is the podcast that is winning a whole bunch of awards, and he joins us now with David Samson. Pablo, how uncomfortable are you with how much is changing in the way that fans and customers and consumers are allowed to get their video sports against what their expectations are and how they've already had it? Because there's going to be a great deal of discomfort here. And I'm of the belief that much of the division that there is in America right now comes from people being really angry that they simply can't afford things, then just super pissed off that if you're trying to get a piece of avocado toast in New York, it's $27. Like, it's just, it's asinine where it is that prices have gone on all this stuff, sports included.
Yeah, look, Samson has made fun of me when I have claimed on the sporting class that as consumers, we were promised something, which was a better experience as a fan that was also cheaper being part of the better. The internet would come, we'd only pay for the stuff that we wanted to eat, in fact, and so we wouldn't pay for all the stuff we never watched. That was, of course, the whole critique of ESPN. and why it was such a great business model. That's what we were promised, is what I have claimed. And David always said to me, you're so naive to think that that was ever actually a deal that was struck. But now we're seeing that actually it's not better and it's not cheaper. It's in fact more expensive and harder to operate. And I think all of this, Dan, look, in some way we can even move beyond just like what's it like as a fan to try and watch and afford the sports that we love. Down the line, right? Like the domino effect here of the distribution being disrupted and the cable business being disrupted and Fubu and all these lawsuits and all that stuff. What's going to happen is that it will have a reckoning when it comes to actual salaries in sports. You know, like for now, players are largely insulated by all of this change because the rights deals are going up and they're making more money. But at a certain point, when tech companies don't want to spend as much money to pay effectively the players through the owners who get these deals, these multi-billion-dollar deals that are only going up so far, when that goes down, all of this is going to feel cheaper. Sports is not going to feel like, man, the one place where money is no object. It's going to feel very, very different. And I think we're not there yet, obviously, but it's coming. And so all of this is tied together in ways that we don't fully appreciate.
So, Pablo, I'm trying to understand, are you calling for a bubble in either sports valuations or ticket prices or player salaries? What specific bubble are you referring to?
I'm saying that the peak in terms of what players got paid, David, as you know, was premised on a robust marketplace of businesses that had cash flow that could really only be guaranteed at that scale by the cable television bills America was paying. And so tech companies, they're just not going to want to pay as much. And when the big networks don't exist in the same way with as deep pockets, well, they're not going to have to, because they're not going to be competing against them anymore.
There's zero proof of this, Pablo. I'm sorry. There's no proof of it at all. What you may be talking about is that when sports have been regional and now they're going to become more national, and Adam Silver and Rob Manfred have both talked about this, the NFL, this is where they are. They are a national product with their media rights. So I'm not seeing what you're seeing.
I'm saying that when you can't charge as much, if you can't charge these increases, right? The NBA rights deal is triple what it used to be. I'm not saying that we are at the bubble right now. I am just saying that that pace of growth is unsustainable. And eventually, tech companies are not going to want to pay as much as the networks had been paying. And so if those networks aren't around as much in that same financial way, then how can you possibly sustain the pace of growth and the salaries that sports has been benefiting from? And so look, I'm not calling the peak yet. I'm not calling the top of the market yet. But, you know, I would say in 10, 15 years, I do absolutely see it.
Fake pregame show.
I think I'm getting that misophonia thing now.
Am I chewing?
Just from hearing them talk?
No, it's just Pablo talking.
It's just Pablo. Does Pablo have like breakfast bar in his mouth or something?
No,
it's just the way he talks.
It's just his voice talking about this with David.
Is it
all of it?
Morning cottonmouth? Is that what's happening? Is Pablo's working too much?
No, I don't think you're understanding. It's Pablo speaking in just that.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So that's a good thing. We're saying that's good. This is a fetish someone has.
It sounded bad, Pablo.
It's too much. Hey, I hear you have a fun episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out today.
It's a great episode. Yeah, let me shed the anything, by the way, that ends in an aphonia, I guess, is not good. Are there any good things that end in phonia?
Oh, please, you're not making it better.
Probably not phonia. Today's episode is awesome. I love today's episode because it's about a mystery, Dan. I'll ask this of the shipping container. I want to get you guys involved because I can talk about the economic doom befalling all of us for a long time. How the Patriots got Tom Brady is a story that's maybe the most famous origin story in sports, in the history of drafts. And we think we all know it, right? How did the Patriots get Tom Brady? I ask you this question.
They drafted him in the 6th round.
6th round. Was that a compensatory pick?
Pick number 199, 6th round, a compensatory pick. And so if I were to ask you, well, how did the Patriots get that pick? How did they get pick number 199? You would say what?
No idea.
You would say, right, compensatory, period, right? The compensatory pick is a black box that is one of the most fascinating stories in the NFL because no one knows how the fuck it works. NFL GMs have no idea what pick they're going to get. There is, it turns out, a secret formula. There are secret deliberations. There is There is a ranking, okay, that I learned about reporting this episode, a ranking of every player in the NFL that is kept by the league office that they update throughout the year based on value. They rank top to bottom, offense, defense, and special teams on one master list, the most valuable to least valuable players in the NFL. And they use that to determine which players are dispersed.
Is it just Madden?
So it is like God's fantasy football big board. It is basically like Madden, except no one has ever seen this list. I don't think anybody really knows, even vaguely, that it exists. It is confidential, and no one can see it, not even the teams that are trying to game the system to get certain compensatory picks. Tom Brady, that pick, came out of this secret system to the point where no one has known for 25 years how the Patriots got picked number 199. It is a paternity mystery. It is a thing that no one has ever known.
Until now.
Until now.
What does that have to do with the 198 people who passed on him?
What does it have to do with it?
Like, isn't
David,
that more interesting?
Okay. No, it's not.
Everyone's been doing that one, David.
David, you don't know how to promote an episode, David. Like, you just undercut. See, people around here don't root for other people on their team. This happens all the time. David's already pissed off. He's like, I'm in my segment. I'm doing my segment. Why is Pablo here? Does he not have enough resources? Does he not have enough attention? Does he not have enough awards? And now we're gonna marvel at his amazing story in my segment. He's pissed off and he's not rooting for Pablo.
David's been on air with us for 75 minutes.
First of all, is that 75 Canadian?
It's felt like 75 minutes, and you're jealous that we're once again promoting something of Pablo's instead of something of yours.
It's just another Thursday at Meadowlark.
What's your movie review?
I'm not giving you a movie review.
Oh, no. Now he's going to withhold the movie review. Come on.
Oh, no.
Come on.
No, we need the 900th movie review from David Samson this month. No.
See, this is going to get ugly in a second. You guys better be careful. This will get ugly between Samson and Pablo. Everybody's elbowing everybody at Meadowlark. Everybody wants their own space.
We've never had cameras roll during some of the ugly conversations. And if you want to go, Pablo, we can go, because I'm beginning to learn more and more about how things work with your show. And I have found out I could do a whole show of stuff I've found out about your show and how it operates. And
let's do David Samson finds out. Let's do David Samson finds out.
Explosive. Dog. Dare you? Dare you to try
there's
to
a
find
double
some stuff
dog.
out.
There's been
For
a double
once
dog
in your
there.
life, find one thing out, Samson. Find one thing.
I let's just say that, okay, Pablo, are you sure you want to go down this road when I may have access to things that you don't even have access to?
The hacker.
This sounds like a threat, a dare and a threat. Let's do this. David Samson finds out.
Buddy, where we're going, we don't need roads.
Who has a better penetration rate?
I knew it was going to get back to that. He's been thinking about that since the Fubu guy was on. Like, he's been thinking about 100% penetration rate the entire time.
We're talking sports business with the chairman and founder of a major streaming service, and all Cody was doing the whole time was thinking about Shanon Sharpe's ability to penetrate.
Yes. The third time that Fubu guy said penetration rate, I lost Chris Cody entirely.
To the point that you had to break in. You broke into the interview.
Chris Cody, how old is that Dolphin shirt you're wearing as you climb the executive ranks, getting closer to the CEO of Fubu?
It's just an old logo. It's actually pretty new, the shirt.
Let's do David Samson finds out. We have been denied a movie review. That's Pablo's fault, and now the beef has escalated. Pablo and Samson they're not getting along in New York. There's tension between the shows.
We spend too much time together. That's a real issue. It's like when you move in with someone and you're like, I think I could tolerate this guy. And now I
have to look at your blue sweater one more time.
All right, enough,
Pablo.
gentlemen, enough. All right,
you
Pablo,
sit in a giant baseball glove.
We're on the same team.
Sit in a giant goddamn baseball glove.
We are on the same team, please,
It's
gentlemen.
actually a regular size baseball glove.
I've got.
Oh, come on.
That's a mean thing to say.
It's Jose Altuve's glove.
Mike, you got to be better. You've got to be better.
Pre-game show.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
You guys have been making fun of me for years, for 2 years now, because on my home at too many times for me to deliver without shame, I'm telling you that there is a Tampa Bay Rays game on over the last couple of seasons. And something that happened in the Rays game yesterday, a very simple nothing that I see happening throughout baseball all the time, is somebody led off with a triple, and then because Wheeler was pitching and he's a Cy Young candidate, the next three guys struck out. And this makes people like Chipper Jones crazy, and it makes me crazy when my baseball heroes sound like old men yelling at clouds when they're complaining about what baseball is today. So let me just play the sound for you, because Jeremy came in here today, and as someone who loves baseball the way Jeremy does, it must be very frustrating that a Thursday night football game dwarfs everything. Oh, Shohei might go 50-50. Oh, a couple of no-hitters broken up in the ninth. Nothing matters except the second quarter tonight. If you like baseball, it's sort of annoying to see some of this stuff happen. And Chipper Jones is giving voice to something. Baseball's always done this. I remember Scott Boras used to complain about it all the time. Whenever there were work stoppages, he was saying, it's the only business I know where basically the owner of the business kicks the can all over the grocery store, dents it, bruises it, then puts it back up on the shelf and asks you to buy it. Baseball loves to complain about baseball, and here's one of my baseball heroes telling you that baseball today, the way that it's played, kind of sucks.
Working with the Braves for the last couple of years, it's very frustrating. It is very frustrating. I can't stand giving away outs. I can't stand strikeouts. I can't deal with guy on third, less than 2 outs, not hitting a ground ball to shortstop or second base to get that run in. I can't stand, every once in a while not laying down a bunt for your best hitters. All these things that really help you accumulate numbers. They don't care, 100 RBIs. So what? I want to hit 40 dingers, and this is truly a chicks dig the long ball kind of era. I think, having worked with Alex Anthopoulos, they want slug and they want guys who get on base, at a high clip, but they don't promote enough, I think, the getting on base part. In order to score runs, you got to get those guys on base. The Braves, and you've seen it this year. Last year it was like 307 homers. It was ridiculous. It's hard to watch. I don't watch as much as I want to, because I find myself throwing flip-flops at the TV and, just being frustrated. And I'm too old to do that.
Jeremy came in here today legitimately enthusiastic like a puppy, wanting to talk about, can you believe a guy got 2 no-hitters broken up on him in the ninth with a home run? No one cared. Yawning indifference, stretching out all over the office.
It was in his first 11 starts. Jeremy was just telling everybody, 2 almost no-hitters into the ninth inning in his first 11 starts. I was like, Jeremy, he could have had 2 no-hitters in his first 11 starts, and I don't know what it would have done for me.
And
no one's done it since Nolan Ryan.
You also said, I don't care about actual no-hitters. How about you stop talking to me about the almost no-hitters?
And you poured coffee on his head, which was extra.
Because you're wearing all your Dolphin gear. You're wearing all
Fins up!
You're wearing all of your finest Dolphin materials. This passes for a sports tuxedo for you, does it not?
The video teams tell me I look great today. I look alive. Week 2, Dolphins Bills. At least it's not the Panthers shirt. Mike and his, I hate that guy.
You don't care about 124 straight plate appearances without a strikeout for Luis Arias, the 4th longest streak in this century. He's in San Diego. No one cares.
The Panthers group chat has been mocking me relentlessly for just wearing the Panthers championship shirt too much.
Yeah. Ohtani's going to be 50-50.
Master texted me the other. Master Tesfazian texted me. He's like, "Hey, am I missing a bit? Is Chris Cody punished? Does he have to wear the same shirt every time?"
Coming from Master, who's worn that Arsenal kit The same one for like 7 straight years.
They won the Stanley Cup, though.
Yeah, but
Thank you, Roy.
Does he have more than one of the shirts? He does wear that shirt a lot. It's either that or the Bobbery, and I've just described 25% of his summer wardrobe.
50 homers, 50 stolen bases, and he might not even win the MVP.
Are you scared, Chris Cody, tonight? Your level, this is an interesting thing, okay? Because I've told you before, the Cody family, Chris Cody finishes bronze medalist in caring about the Dolphins. His father and his mother care about this team for longer and more than he does, and he cares about it plenty. This is not an indictment about how he feels about it. This has been in his house as a source of income for 40 years, this team. Daddy's living. Daddy's clicks are made with this team. It ain't Marlins columns. It ain't Canes columns. It's not Heat columns. It ain't Panther columns. It's Dolphin columns. And the Dolphins have a team that this century has mattered less than almost all the others because all the others have made the playoffs and won a game in the playoffs. Detroit is no longer what it used to be. The Dolphins, who used to be the winningest franchise in all of sports when it was Shula and Marino, not football, all of sports, gave away all of that. And now a game tonight matters in your hometown, and the team that's been in your way the last 5 years, it ain't Kansas City. It's this one. You ain't at Kansas City's level. You got to get to this one's level before you can get to Kansas City's level. And they have been close, but their quarterback has been seen as better than your quarterback the entire time. You go into tonight's game hopeful or fearful?
I'm feeling good. I'm not going to let you kind of scared me. That thing you just did for the last minute made me feel way more scared about the game than I was already feeling. It's week 2. I'm going to keep the right perspective here. If we lose this game, I'm not going to say the world is ending. But like I said earlier in the show, I do think that the Dolphins need to have some feel good when we play against good teams. I think if we start this early in the year with this, we can't beat the good teams. I just think it could snowball. If you chop it at the legs here, and now you have the rest of the season, you could say, "But we beat the Bills. That's a good team."
Chris, in the last couple of years, I do not know a victory, maybe Baltimore on the road, that felt better than just magnifying glass, frying the Bills on their sideline so that Stephon Diggs would say it's the most tired he's ever been after a game. That victory over Buffalo here supposed to represent one of the more seismic victories they've had over the last 5 years. It's just not saying much because they don't win many meaningful games in the last 20 years.
You want to know how sad how few games we have? Jeremy has a top 5 Dolphins home game. Is it home wins?
No, just Dolphins wins of my lifetime.
This is going to be
These are
sad.
the top 5 Dolphins feelings I've had in my lifetime. So number 5 is that game you just referenced, Dan, when Josh Allen threw for 400 yards and almost died of a heat stroke and the Dolphins won.
This is going to be a pathetic list.
Number 4, the Dolphins score 70 points against the Denver Broncos.
That was fun. I was there.
That was really fun. Come on, that was great.
Are all these things going to be from the last 3 years?
Number 3, the 21-point comeback against the Baltimore Ravens where Tua threw for 470 yards and they won 42-38.
I think I came in after that game, and at that time, I was like, this is the best the Dolphins
It was the best
have
I'd ever
made me
felt.
Ever. Like, I don't get this a lot. This was when we were, like, now we've had a good offense for a few years now. At the beginning of this, the regular season game where we beat the Ravens felt like the Super Bowl. Now we're kind of like, now I'm like, hey, get me to the playoffs. I'm a different guy now. But that was new then.
Number 2 was also against the Ravens, but this was back in 2007 when they broke their winless season with an overtime win against Baltimore. Greg Camarillo, 64-yard touchdown. And number 1, of course, the debut of the Wildcat. That's the best I've ever felt watching.
Truly pathetic list. Let me go through some of the sports history here in South Florida so that you understand the context of what is happening tonight. The Bills have been a national laughingstock as losers for a really long time because they would get close to the Super Bowl and then lose the Super Bowl in a variety of ways. Josh Allen has made Buffalo regionally feel about football like it has not in a long time. Not since Buffalo was literally trampling Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator, on the sidelines because Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly were always making it to the Super Bowl over the half a team the Dolphins had with Marino. They had an offense. They did not have a defense. Now they're supposed to have both. This is supposed to be the most hope I've had in 25 years around a Dolphin team being close, and it's in a rivalry that is a legitimate rivalry where Buffalo is ahead of you for the last 5 years, and really, if we think about it, for the last 25 years. Because even when the Bills were a laughingstock, they were trampling you. They were trampling the Dolphins to get to those Super Bowls they were losing. They were trampling Marino and Don Shula to get to the Super Bowls they were losing.
I was thinking about Jeremy's list, and it felt incomplete. It felt like there was something missing. And I turned around and I asked him, what about the Miami Miracle? Did you mention the Patriots game?
Oh, the Gronk game.
Major omission.
The
That's
Gronk-
on me, guys. My bad.
All right, go sit in the
Apologies.
penalty box.
Get out of here. I was next to
go
Drew Rosenhaus for that game on the sideline. It was really
nobody
fun.
cares.
He was jumping up and down.
Yeah, nobody cares.
You didn't even mention it.
It's on me.
We've got a major penalty, 5 minutes, derailing.
Do you refer to it as the Gronk game too, just because he stumbled at the goal line and it ended on a kick return for a
Gronk
touchdown,
at safety?
or laterals for a touchdown?
Last line of defense.
He was just like, I got this guy. Oh, he's fast.
That's exactly.
I got the angle. Oh, no, there he
That's
goes.
exactly how he was at the 5-yard line. I want a Pablo Torre finds out on how the decision was made by the genius of our times to put Gronk at the 5-yard line, because that wasn't going to get juked in the last 5 yards.
I don't think the answer is all that interesting. He's tall. He's really tall. Knock
But
it
that
down.
he just
Knock it down. He's tall.
Tony did give you, though, his inner monologue. It hadn't accounted for the laterals and Gronk's real-time realization, oh no, Drake is fast.
He's like, all right, I'm here. All right, no, oh, lateral, okay. Oh, I got him.
I'm too big. These people cut very fast. I'm not really a tackler. I was back here to knock down a Hail Mary.
Belichick loved being asked about that after the game. What's the logic in having him? He's tall. Knock it down. Just the logic is very tall.
I mentioned yesterday that the Manning cast with Belichick did its worst rating since the Manning cast started. I have not consumed much Belichick content. How has it been the first couple of weeks of the season? Strategically, it is super interesting to me that Bill Belichick, the coach of our times, really has a management economy around him to make sure his voice stays everywhere around the game. I don't know if you guys read the Van Natta story on ESPN.com about Bob Kraft, but I urge you to do so for a number of different reasons. One, it suggests that Bob Kraft, through the Apple documentary, through a book, is trying to sort of influence both how he is seen and how much control he actually had over Belichick and Brady. But furthermore, and I hadn't given this any thought before reading about it, Bob Kraft badly wants to get into the Hall of Fame before he dies. And Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame. They don't like each other. Jerry Jones, evidently, Bob Kraft is mystified. That guy can't get out of his divisional round. How is he in the Hall of Fame? And I've won more than anybody, and they're not giving me my due as a Hall of Famer. And what's being held against him is evidently the cheating combined with the massage parlor is thrown in there in the reporting, combined with Jerry Jones doesn't like him and is more powerful than him. And so the owners can sort of block the way you get into the Hall of Fame. I thought it was super interesting, 80-year-olds behaving like high schoolers. And in keeping with what happened earlier in the show, these people don't root for each other. None of these people root for each other. Greeny is indeed pumping a fist when someone else stumbles over a line.
And the pettiness, man. He's really going to have to die for them to go in the Hall of Fame.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think Belichick's been nicer than you would imagine. I guess football was a misery to him, or at least talking to the media when he was a head football coach was a misery to him. But he's not super charismatic, but he's a lot kinder and easier to like.
How about
this
interesting, though? Never mind. I don't need charisma for him. Can you teach me something?
I got to be honest. I haven't really consumed much of him or Tom Brady or anything.
He gives a lot of energy, but I'm with you, Dan. I thought I would get more of holy crap, Belichick is speaking right now. It's more of just I'm impressed with his energy, but I'm not getting a lot of like, oh, this is great analysis.
I've seen Saban, especially with the international break in soccer. I was able to watch Saban more, and I'm enjoying Saban. I wish people would push back on him a little bit, but I'm enjoying Saban. I didn't really hear any of Tom Brady because I was straight up watching NASCAR.
Mike, you know what I wish, and I know that McAfee, hugs Saban, and they will try to thaw him over the course of this season. But something that I've always run into in sports that has bothered me, broadcasters in general are so reverent-filled and afraid of the great coach that they still call him coach when he's in his late 70s or 80s, and you're a little more afraid to be your maximum self the way you would jocularly with a peer.
Do you think that's it? I
don't know. I'm not
they're just coach. I mean,
it's a respect factor, Dan. It's not you're scared of him.
I would call my PE teacher coach today if I saw him. It's not because
I'm saying it's all of it, Mike. Nick Saban gets onto the set of College Game Day, and everyone there knows that he's been a leader all his life. Everyone there knows what the resume is before it is that he gets there, and chemistry does not arrive when he sits down. There's so much respect for him that you got to be careful about how and when you push back. Especially, it depends on who it is, right? If you don't put journalists in that setting, you're not going to get people who have an ear toward, no, I got to push back. It's not just my turn to talk. I've got to correct somebody on something.
Yeah, I guess, look, you don't have to push Nick Saban back on the X's and O's, and no one's going to know them better than him on that day, so you could maybe ask him a question and see what his response is. I meant more towards the NCAA thing that really bothered me.
What other jobs out there are you always referred to as the job, even after you're kind of done? Like
President?
Doc? Yeah, president, Doc.
Doc is a good one.
Chef?
Yeah, chef.
If I'm not working at a restaurant anymore, you can still call me chef?
Yeah.
Professor.
Yes, chef. Professor.
Is that it? Does that so Doc? You get Doc in retirement.
What's up, Doc?
Doc still gets
Doc lives forever.
Coach, definitely. I've seen it. You know where I see it? This is why I will tell you when you talk about pushback. One of the places that it became obvious to me, it's the respect ends up being too large, is when I see Amin talking to Stan Van Gundy. Amin, who came up through a pipeline where he absolutely learned from a lot of people, but he knows that Stan climbed higher in the place where Amin dreamt. And so Amin is a little more respectful with Stan just based on what Stan's pedigree is. And it ain't Saban's. Like, Saban's pedigree went... Man, Saban's been the most important room in every room he's walked into for the last 15 years.
Most important person in every room.
Yeah, sorry.
Ha!
I mean, he did walk into the Supreme Court. like
Judge? Does judge have the same treatment?
Well, he spoke to Congress.
Your Honor, yeah.
Anyone in the military, maybe?
That's a good one.
Lieutenant? Corporal?
How many rooms do you think Saban has walked into in his life where Supreme Court rooms, political rooms, any rooms where he feels like he's not the most important person there because everyone's kissing his ass?
Yeah, a handful of times. Like, he won a lot of championships, so he probably went to the White House a couple of times.
Definitely more important than Ted Cruz.
I have seen a whole lot of important people turn into fawning adolescents around sports heroes and sports winners. The idea that someone has some secret formula on how to correctly lead people into excellence is something that's respected by every field.
I felt his presence when I spoke to him. I spoke to him. Game day was at the ACC championship, and I found myself having to apologize for all the shows that we did to him directly to his face. He was wearing a red blazer.
Get for me, please, the sound of Nick Castellanos talking about he got hit with a baseball. You heard me say a couple of days ago, because I really do want to cover baseball better. This has been a fun season, and the playoffs and the time before the playoffs, right before the playoffs, is going to be a great deal of fun. And I don't agree with Chipper Jones that the game's not watchable. It's the changes they've made, almost all of them are great changes to speed up the game. But the distortion of the power does make it a game that I don't recognize from 10 years ago. Like when When I'm watching, Tampa's plate discipline has been great for 2 years. They can't get a runner home from third with no outs because they're just going to all strike out.
You're still locked in, huh? You're still watching
I'm still
Rays
watching
baseball.
I mean, I'm sitting there watching.
How's the season going?
I mean, they're mediocre.
Yeah,
they're like
so you're still following them, even if they're just like you're just a Rays guy now.
I
They're your second team because they're on the RSN.
I like watching the way they develop young players who have great plate discipline.
So boring
on coupons and in the bargain bins of trying to win against.
You like it there, but not here.
Well, I like it. I'll tell you why I like it there.
You guys having a nerd off? What's happening?
Well, I'm going to correct Jeremy on this because it's just such
about to happen.
Bullshit what's happening
Came from
around
the Rays.
here. No, the Rays do it correctly.
Oh, they're about to.
What the Marlins do is just what the Astros do is, you can make the playoffs for 7 straight years if you lose 120 games and rebuild it again and again. Like the Rays have done the building of this in a way that has been correct. The Marlins have just continually just blown it up.
But have you seen Connor Norby, Dan? Have you seen Connor Norby?
I saw that he ended the game yesterday by grounding out.
Most extra base hits in a debut of 18 games since Shohei Ohtani.
Jeremy, make this make sense to me.
Dismissed him so bad, Dan. You're like, hey, grounded.
Was he not a prospect?
He was a top prospect in the Orioles.
How Trevor Rogers?
Yep.
What were the Orioles thinking? Like, is Trevor Rogers better than he's been with the Marlins?
They were desperate for pitching. And he was okay.
I can't believe that they would give up a top prospect for Trevor Rogers.
They have so many of them.
That's insane to me.
They have more than anybody. Let's play this Castellanos sound, though, because, and forgive me, I got it wrong. It wasn't Norby who grounded out. It was another Marlin. Norby didn't do anything in the ninth inning when they needed him to against the Pirates.
Jeremy.
Let's play Castellanos here, though, talking about something that I believe is a plague in this sport, which is the hitters now know that the pitchers, one of the many changes in this sport that's interesting to me is you should see the second time a starting pitcher goes through a lineup, how the adjustments are made so that the second time a pitcher is going through a lineup, he is appreciably worse than he was the first time.
Big pregame show.
But on top of that, to have these pitchers all throwing 99 miles an hour, not caring where it goes, and then just hitting people in the head or hitting them in the body because they're frustrated about things. Here's Castellanos talking about it.
I got into the box. I wasn't even swinging because I thought there was a chance that could happen, and it happened. I think that he was just off that his numbers got messed up.
Right. You don't have any beef with him, right?
No, just other than having a overwhelming sense that I was about to get drilled.
Okay. You thought it might happen just based on the way the inning went against him to that point, or?
I can't explain it, just I know that he had relatively pretty good numbers going into that, and just watching him, I could see him getting frustrated, and I was digging in. I'm like, I'm going to take this pitch right here to see if he's around the plate, and it wasn't anywhere near the plate.
So what was that like when you see your teammates put on Bryce, come right?
No doubt, because I think that we all kind of got a sense of what it was, that he was just off, that, he got hit around and his ERA shot through the roof.
Is it frustrating because A, was on purpose, but also B, maybe he could have gotten hurt there, I guess, in that situation?
Well, it was below. It was right at my waistline, so for that, I think I probably would have been a little bit more emotionally triggered if it was up, by my head. But I think Bryce kind of felt the same thing that I did, that wasn't even close.
I can't keep you guys interested for 3 minutes in baseball.
Well, that was 3 minutes, so.
We were talking about him. It's a local guy
Yeah.
from down here, homered again on a
I checked to
day.
see if my alarm was still on in my home, brought the AC down. Thank you for that.
Pregame show.
I thought you were watching the Mariners. What happened? They can only pitch and can't hit, so you checked out on them?
No, I was watching them, and then August ended, and that was that. Football.
Chris Cody.
It was fun pretending, though. I like that. No, this hurts so bad. I guess I liked having a rooting interest there, but being a Mariners fan is they're a tortured bunch. And I get to see it. Like, I feel bad for them. But, I don't like baseball anymore. I liked it a little bit more this year because they changed some of the rules and I had a rooting interest. But all right, let me really commit to this. And then, you know what? I still don't like it.
All right, great. Great setup for Pitch Clock. That's next with Jeremy Taché. Excellent work. I know you root for your teammates around here.
You're combining two things I don't like.
I mean, come on!